What's up, everybody? I just want to let you know I just got done at the embassy getting my passport renewed. But it reminds me of the last time I went to the embassy and I had to get all my paperwork to get my driver's license here in Japan, and it was a really crappy process. So start from the beginning. I go to the cop station because there's a cop station for motor vehicles only, and your road safety cop station, all that kind of stuff. They also have like the house for the Shirobai, the white motorcycle cops. They'd ride on white bikes.
White motorcycle cops?
Yeah, Asian, Japanese, white colored motorcycle police. Well, so it's just I had to go there about a bazillion times, it seemed like. So I go there the first time with what used to be the old paperwork that you would need, just you know, your license, translation of your license. So I do that. They say, oh, if I was American in the military, then it would be okay. I could just, you know, transfer, because they trust the American military guys, I guess, with that. I don't know. But with me, they were like, oh, you need all this paperwork. They started handing us tons of forms we had to fill out. Thank God my wife can translate all of them. So we translated all these forms. I had to get paperwork that I had owned a car, I had insurance on the car, and I had been working. So I was driving to and from work every day. That's how I had to prove that. It was a really lengthy process because I had to go and well, I had to prove that I had taken a driver's ed course. So I had to go back into my high school records. I had to call up my high school. It was ridiculous. And get the records that I had taken the course back whenever I was 15. And then I had to prove that I had gotten my license, you know, whenever I was 16. And Japanese people find it crazy that you're gonna let somebody 16 drive a car. So, because you can't get your license here until you're 18 to take your course and get your license. It's nuts. They also thought it was crazy that I only paid, you know, I think it was $60 to take the course, and, you know, in driver's ed and stuff like that. Here, I think it's like $2,000 or something like that for your 3-month or 4-month, 5-month course or whatever it is to get your license. So I had to prove all that, and then I had to get my wonderful boss whenever I was in college, because they just wanted like latest employment of different times and stuff. And that happened to be the time where my license transferred from, you know, whenever I was before 21 until after 21. Whoa! Roads are a little hectic out here. Oh no, vegetable! I'll set it up over here. Okay, we're good. So yeah, I had to get employment records from then. Thank God we had those. After all that, all the paperwork that took like 2.5 months to go through, calling everybody, getting everything done, then I have the right to take a test to get my license here in Japan. So I thought, oh, that'll be the easiest part, like out of all of this, you know? Well, was I wrong? Because the test, thank God the test was in English, so the written test was actually pretty easy. I mean, I just had to know road signs, you know, they were in Japanese, so you had to learn a little bit more Japanese, and you know, kanji characters to do the test, like where to turn, where not to turn. We don't have we don't have turn on red, you know, here in Japan. We drive on the left side of the road, so like just some other special things about that. A big section about parking, a big section about stick shift. Oh, there's a dog. Oh, there's 2 dogs. Cute. Just rolling around with the old lady, huh? Yeah, so they just have this big section about like parking uphill, downhill, parallel parking, backing into a parking spot, which I think the grand total of like any education I ever had about parking was like 10 minutes, and it was like, if you don't feel comfortable parking, just move on. You'll find a parking space somewhere else. I don't know. That was either because my teacher was retiring whenever I took driver's ed, and it was like his last ever class, or it was the fact that I don't know, I was out in the middle of nowhere with country bumpkins that just didn't care about parking. They were like, oh, just park in a field, who cares, you know? It was like, oh, there'll be a spot somewhere. Everybody drives 4x4s, you know, big trucks. We'll find something. We'll park on top of another car. It'll be great. But, you know, craziness. So I do all this, take the test, pass it on paper, fine. They're like, okay, do you want to schedule for a driving test? And I was thinking nothing of it. I was like, yeah, I'll schedule right away, get it done. And then I figured out after I got there that the driving test is conducted by police officers. You have 2 chances to mess up. Sorry about that, my camera overheated. So I'm back again. So yeah, they have cops that give the driver's ed course exam that you take, you know, after you have taken your written test. They're very by the book, let's just say. Cops that are giving these road safety tests, you know, driving tests and everything. So I get to my first officer that gives me my test. The course seems pretty simple, and I'm ecstatic. I'm really happy. I'm ready to get this done. You know, I'm a little nervous, but you know, I figure, you know, butterflies, whatever. I'm gonna do this. I get through 40% of the test, 35%. Let's be conservative. 35% of the test, and I hit the curb, which is okay. I mean, you can hit the curb once, you back up, and then retry. You know. But unfortunately, I hit the curb hard enough that I go over the curb and I get an automatic fail. And I know it right away. I'm like, fuck. So I failed the first time. I'm like, shit. Well, you know, I got another time. That was a stupid mistake, you know. I'll just go back and retry. And so that's what I do. I sign up at the front desk. It's like 2 weeks wait, and then bam, I can retry. And second time's going even better than the first time. But then after that, I unfortunately, terribly, ungodly fuck up again. So I waited, you know, I was like, next month I'll take it. You know, it gives me a little bit of time. And thank God, my mother-in-law knows a guy that has his own little driver's ed school, and she's like, hey, can you help us out? And he's like, an American? I would love to try this out, you know, like, it's a new challenge. We don't even speak the same language. This will be great. You know? So he can't let me drive, obviously, because I don't have a license. But he's like, I got, you know, I'll tell you, you know, some pointers, and we'll walk the course. So I sit in there, his little classroom, for, you know, 25 minutes, and he's giving me pointers here, pointers there for the test, you know, what they're looking for, even more so than other things. And, you know, and then we get out and we walk this course like we were in a car. And oh Lord, to, you know, to be a 25-year-old at the time with a, you know, 50-year-old man walking around a driver's ed course like I was in this invisible car. And we do this for like 3 weekends in a row, you know, little stuff like that. And you know, I get ready to take my test one more time, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm nervous, but it's an okay kind of butterflies in my stomach. I'm going through it. I'm ready. I'm gonna get this. And they don't tell you what course you're gonna get until like you get there, and they have like 4 courses to choose from for your license, what grade license you are. And I think because the first time I got the 2 same courses, I think I'm gonna get the same one, whatever. I know that course really well now because I've had it twice already. Well, no, I get a third one that's just a brand new course that nobody's had really yet, and I was like, oh no. Oh, I was so set on the other one. Now I'm on this brand new course. Then I'm really getting nervous. I get down to where they take the test, and I'm lining up, and the person they have giving me the test looks like he could be in the mafia. He's probably an ex-undercover mafia, like secret agent, I don't know, like kind of guy. I mean, he's got the slicked back hair. He's got the Yakuza look, to him with the shades, Oh my God. This dude was pretty intimidating. He was like, you fail, I cut your head off kind of guy. Like, it just seemed like that. It was scaring me quite a bit. And I was like, oh God. The person in front of me like failed right away. So I was like, oh shit, like, ugh. He's just gonna rip me a new one. So I go out into the course. I get into it. I'm going. I get 1 check, and I'm like, oh no, that's one of the 3 strikes. I'm gonna be out. Oh no. And I keep going. He's making notes as it goes, and then I get the 2nd check, and I'm like, shit. And these checks aren't little. They're like a big, pin on the notepad, like, you suck. That's just cracking the pen across the paper, and I'm like, oh no. And then he's writing these little notes, and I'm like, oh fuck. So he gets 2 down, and he's writing these notes. I just already assumed that I'd failed, so I'm like, I can't, he's like, okay, go back to the beginning of the course, make this and that turn, and we'll go there. He's like, okay, now get out of the car. And I was like, well, at least I'll do this right, like I look in front of me, I look behind me, I look, back of the side mirror, I crack the door, I look in front of me, I look behind me one more time before I fully open the door. I shut the door, and then I walk behind the car over to his side. And he's like, okay, get back in. I was like, oh, great. I got out right, but let's see what happens. I get back in the car, and he says, okay, you passed. And I'm like, oh, no. I was like, because in my head, I thought he said, oh, you failed, But he's like, no, you passed. Because I said, oh, no, not again. And he's like, no, you passed. And I was like, oh, thank God. I was ecstatic. I was like, yes, everything's right in the world for me. I was like, oh, yeah, took everything not to jump up and down, like shake the car. I was like, yeah, throwing my fist in the air, cheering myself, saying, Mark. It was wonderful. So I get out of the car. He gave me my paperwork. I get out of the car. I got it in my hand. I'm like, oh, I'm fist pumping, like I'm running out of there, just all happy. I go and take my picture, which takes a ridiculous amount of time for no good reason. And I wore a smile all the way, back home that day. I even drove a little bit after that, and I was like, just so happy. It was great, but it was a very hard process for me. I hope it is an easier process for anybody else that wants to go to Japan. Just be prepared. Bye.